The morning started like any other in my sleepy little cul-de-sac. Birds chirped, sprinklers hissed, and neighbors waved politely, while pretending not to really see each other. I was sipping my coffee on the porch when I noticed her. Karen, you know the type. Short, perfectly coiffed bob haircut, big sunglasses. Clipboard in one hand, Starbucks in the other. She was making her rounds as self-appointed enforcer of our HOA's rules, scrutinizing everyone's lawns like a hawk. I knew she didn't like me. Ever since I moved in 2 years ago, she seemed to take special joy in sending me friendly reminders about things like my mailbox being off-white instead of HOA-approved eggshell, or my recycling bins being visible from the street. That morning, I had bigger things on my mind. Yesterday, I'd come back from court, where a long-standing property line dispute with my back neighbor finally ended. I'd won, but the judge ordered that I post court-ordered notices along the property edge until the survey crew could come mark the official line. They'd even handed me these official-looking neon orange and blue stickers to affix to the posts and fence. Big letters, notice of pending survey, do not remove. So that's what I did. Last night, I walked the fence line in the dark, peeling and sticking every last one of those notices to the posts, just as the judge ordered. My neighbor wasn't happy, but tough luck. So this morning, watching Karen march straight toward my fence, I already had a bad feeling. She stopped right at one of the bright orange stickers, hands on hips. Then she made a little noise, something between disgust and indignation, and peeled it right off. I nearly dropped my coffee. I bolted across the yard. "Hey!" I shouted. She froze halfway to the next sticker. The first one crumpled in her manicured fingers. "What are you doing?" I demanded, already out of breath. Karen raised her chin. "These things are an eyesore," she said as if it was obvious. "I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is a violation of Section 3.2.1 of the HOA's community aesthetic standards." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I pointed at the crumpled sticker in her hand. "That's a court-ordered notice." She actually laughed. "Oh, sure. You can't just stick any ugly little sticker on your fence and claim it's court-ordered. We have standards here." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. But I already knew this was about to get a whole lot uglier than any sticker. Karen stood there with her hand still on the next sticker, fingers poised to rip it off. I could actually see the corners of her mouth curling upward, like she was enjoying this way too much. "Karen," I said, my voice low and even, "those stickers were issued by the county clerk's office, part of a court order. If you peel even one more off, you're tampering with a legal notice." She gave me a look like I'd just told her I was a secret agent. "Oh, please, don't be dramatic," she said. "I've been on the HOA board for 12 years. I know what's allowed on fences and what isn't. Neon orange is not allowed." I felt my blood pressure rising. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and started scrolling through my photos until I found it, a picture I'd taken yesterday at the courthouse, showing the judge's signed order, complete with the language about posting legal notices along the disputed property line. I held it up for her to see. She glanced at it for maybe 2 seconds, then actually waved it off. "I don't care what that says," she sniffed. "This is private property and you agreed to abide by the HOA charter when you moved in. That means no stickers, no signs, and certainly nothing this hideous." I swear my jaw almost hit the lawn. "Karen," I said slowly, "you don't outrank a judge. The HOA doesn't outrank a judge. You know that, right?" She crossed her arms. "We have our own bylaws. If you don't like it, maybe you shouldn't live here." That was it. I hit record on my phone's camera and pointed it right at her. "Go ahead," I said. "Say that again while you tear down a court-ordered notice. I'll send this straight to the judge." For the first time, Karen faltered. Her hand froze halfway to the next sticker. She frowned, realizing she was now on video. "You're being ridiculous," she huffed. But she dropped the sticker she was holding and took a small step back. I kept the camera trained on her as she sputtered. I'll have to bring this up at the next board meeting," she finally said, like that was some kind of threat. "Do that," I said. "And while you're at it, you might want to talk to a lawyer." She glared at me, then spun on her heel and stomped back down the sidewalk, muttering something about unsightly behavior and lack of community spirit. I stood there for a moment, adrenaline still coursing through me, watching her disappear around the corner. Then I turned back to my fence and began smoothing down the sticker she'd crumpled. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. By the time the HOA board meeting rolled around later that week, word had spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. Everyone seemed to know about the sticker incident. I noticed more than a few curious glances from my neighbors as I walked into the clubhouse, my folder of documents under my arm. Karen was already there, seated at the head of the long folding table, flanked by the other board members, 2 equally prim women and a man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. She gave me a tight, smug smile when she saw me, and I swear I heard her mutter something under her breath. The meeting started like usual with the pledge and some boring budget updates. But then Karen cleared her throat and announced, "We have an urgent matter of business to discuss regarding violations of the community aesthetic standards at Lot 14. All eyes turned to me. Karen launched into her speech. She pulled out a stack of photos. She must have taken them after our encounter and started passing them down the table. "As you can see," she said, pointing dramatically at each picture, "these garish stickers deface the otherwise harmonious look of our community. Neon orange, blue, and black. Absolutely not within HOA guidelines. I took it upon myself to remove one of these unsightly items, but the resident in question was quite hostile." I bit my tongue. Karen finished with a flourish. "I move that we issue a formal violation and fine Lot 14 until the stickers are permanently removed." I stood up, folder in hand. "Before you vote on that," I said, "you might want to take a look at these." I stepped forward and placed copies of the court order in front of each board member. "This is a legal order from the county judge, signed and filed. These notices are required to remain posted until the survey crew completes their work. If you or anyone else removes them again, you could be held in contempt of court." The room went quiet except for the sound of paper shuffling. One of the other board members adjusted her glasses and actually read the document. The man at the end raised an eyebrow at Karen. Karen sputtered, "Well, be that as it may, the aesthetic, I cut her off, doesn't trump a court order. Unless you're volunteering to pay the fines when the judge finds out the notices were tampered with." Karen's face went pale. The woman in glasses cleared her throat. "It seems Lot 14 is in compliance with the court's directive," she said firmly. "We can't override that." Karen just sat there, jaw tight, silently fuming as her little motion died without a second. I sat back down, suppressing a grin. This round went to me, but I knew she wasn't done yet. For a few days after the board meeting, things seemed to quiet down. The stickers stayed put, and Karen avoided making eye contact when we passed on the sidewalk. I thought maybe she'd finally gotten the message. I should have known better. It was Saturday morning when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it to find a uniformed sheriff's deputy standing there, holding a folded piece of paper. "Morning," he said politely. "Are you the owner of Lot 14? My stomach dropped. "Yes, is there a problem?" He handed me the paper. "You've been served. Complaint from the Homeowners Association." I unfolded it right there in the doorway. It was a formal notice of violation, again citing unauthorized signage, and an HOA-initiated small claims lawsuit for unpaid fines. Karen had filed it personally. The deputy gave me a sympathetic look. "Just doing my job. Have a good day." I stood there in shock as he walked back to his car. The anger didn't really hit me until later, when I sat at my kitchen table and read the fine print. She was claiming over $1,500 in cumulative fines, all while knowing full well the stickers were legally required. It was pure harassment. I grabbed my phone and dialed my attorney. When I explained what happened, she actually laughed. "Oh, she's really stepped in it this time," my lawyer said. "Don't worry. We'll file a countersuit for harassment and seek damages. Keep every bit of documentation you have." By the time the hearing rolled around a month later, I was armed to the teeth with evidence, photos, court order copies, even my video of Karen peeling the sticker while telling me the HOA outranks a judge. Karen showed up in her best pearls, striding into the courtroom with her clipboard like she owned the place. But when the judge asked for her evidence of my supposed violation, all she had were her HOA bylaws and a few photos of the stickers. I handed over my packet of documents. The judge read through everything slowly, then looked up at Karen over his glasses. "Ma'am," he said flatly, "these notices were issued under my order. Removing or interfering with them could be considered contempt of court. The defendant is not in violation of any law or covenant. On the contrary, you owe him an apology." Karen's jaw actually dropped. The judge dismissed her claim, and on my lawyer's motion, ordered her to pay my legal fees. Walking out of that courtroom, I couldn't help but smile. Karen shot me a look that could kill. But this time I knew. Her power games were over, at least for now. So what do you think? Was Karen just confused or completely in the wrong? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this crazy story, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more shocking and hilarious stories just like this. See you next time with another wild episode. Stay tuned.